Hello, Trail Seeker, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Learn True Health podcast. I am really excited for you to listen to today's interview. It's a little bit different than our other interviews because I'm interviewing the CEO of the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, the world's largest health coaching training company. Lynda Cloud has some wonderful insights. It's really interesting looking at the life of someone who is so accomplished and so busy working in New York City as a CEO of a major multi-million dollar company. And here she is focusing on how to create balance and health in her life in a company whose corporate culture puts the health of the employees first above all else, the emotional, mental, and physical health of the employees above all else. Isn't that interesting? Wouldn't you like to work for a company that treated your health as the most important thing? And of course, a very close second, the customer and the customer support and customer satisfaction. But what an interesting concept. Normally, it's all about cutting corners and trying to figure out how to save money and pinch a penny here and there. With IIN, they have bowls of avocados for their staff. They have a chiropractor come in weekly and a massage therapist come in. They have yoga classes and a meditation room. They set out to make sure that the staff really are making sure that their life is balanced, that they have joy in every area of their life and fulfillment. And what does IIN get in return for investing in their staff? They get amazing productivity, creativity, and it trickles down to us, the consumer, the customer. Me as a graduate, while I was going through the program, I felt so supported, and the staff are so wonderful to work with. Many of my friends and many listeners actually have gone through IIN's program, and they have also found that they get incredible service and they feel connected. When they call IIN, they feel like they're being listened to like a human and that they're not just another number. And there's no high pressure sales, that they're just talking to someone who's so passionate about helping people become the healthiest versions of themselves. Imagine what the world would be like if every company adapted the same corporate culture as IIN. What's really neat is there are companies, and this is what Lynda talks about today, is that there are companies that are starting to adapt this. It's very neat. And she shares what she's done in her life to balance her life in a way that has stopped illness from becoming a problem. So I think no matter where you are in life, whether you're interested in becoming a health coach or not, you're really going to like today's interview because there's so much to learn here. Now, I want to let you know, if you are interested in contacting IIN, they actually created a special phone number, a priority line for Learn True Health listeners. You can give this a call and you'll be placed with a wonderful staff member at IIN. Most of them are health coaches already, where they can discuss with you all the details you want, just so you can gather more information and see if it's something that is right for you. It's a major decision to make, to want to dive in, which of course I did immediately. The second I heard about IIN, I dove in that same day. But it is a major decision to make. If you think about it, you're investing a year of your life into learning and growing. About half the people that jump into IIN do so because they want the personal growth. I got a lot of personal growth out of the program, so I can see just doing it for that alone instead of making a career change. And the other half of the people that join do make a career change that they want to add on to their tool belt if they're already in the holistic health space, or they want to join the holistic health space as a health coach. So you can call this number, 877-780-5748. That's 877-780-5748. That will also be in the show notes of today's podcast at learntruehealth.com, so you can go there. And if you're driving, or if you can't give them a call, maybe it's the middle of the night, you can go to learntruehealth.com/coach. And that gives you access to one of their modules, so you can just check it out, see if it's right for you. But I highly recommend giving them a call, because having a great discussion with one of their staff members and getting more information from them, you start to feel what it's like to be part of that culture, be part of the health coaching culture, and you'll learn more about the different areas that you can work and how it can impact your life and how you can impact others. So that phone number again is 877-780-5747. Enjoy today's interview. Please share it with those who you think would be a great health coach. This is the fastest growing sector of the health space, and that's really, really exciting that very soon I think health coaching will be as popular and as well known as hiring a personal trainer. That it will be that popular that you'll be able to go to any gym or any health clinic or hospital and you'll be able to have access to a health coach. So there's so much potential here, and also with the new legislature, and we talk about this in the interview, that in 2020 health coaches will be able to work with insurance companies. So there just are so many doors that are opening. It's very, very exciting. Excellent. Have yourself a fantastic rest of your day and a wonderful holiday season. Welcome to the Learn True Health podcast. I'm your host, Ashley James. This is episode 399. I am so excited for today's guest. We have with us Lynda Cloud, who is the CEO of Institute for Integrative Nutrition, IIN. It's the world's largest health coach training program and the program that I graduated from. And many of the listeners have been graduates or are currently going through the program. I'm so excited to learn from you today, Lynda. It's such a pleasure to have you here on the show.
Oh, pleasure is all mine, Ashley.
This is awesome. Now, you have over 30 years of experience in the education space. And a lot of it even online, of course, because we've all transitioned to learning online, and this idea that no matter how old we are, we can go back to school. No matter how busy we are, we can go back, we can get a degree, we can get certifications, we can continue our learning no matter where we are in life, no matter what country we are in. And I love that IIN is in all countries. There's students from all around the world who come to become health coaches. I'm really, really curious, what happened in your life that led you to become the CEO of IIN?
Well, it's an interesting question. As you said, 30 years experience, which makes me feel a little old, not seasoned, but old. I've had the distinct pleasure of being in education and online learning for really my entire career. So I started out in education teaching for a bit and fell in love with the idea of learning, and fell in love with the idea of trying to make learning as engaging as I could and accessible as I could. So that took me through a journey working for one of the largest at the time education companies, Pearson, and really grew up there. Learned a lot about instructional design, learned a lot about product management, marketing, sales, kind of sat in lots of different seats. And that gave me the opportunity to really get a holistic view on customers and what's important to them, and even what's most important, which is how we help students be successful. So that foundation really led me into the next step in my career, which was running a division in the K-12 space on online learning. That was incredibly rewarding, and we did a lot of innovation and a lot of innovative stuff there, and had a great run with that company. And through my whole journey, I knew I loved helping make education and schools better. And so that's what the first part of my story is. And then as I went through this journey, I realized, as a working mom and trying to do a million things, the thing I let slip and probably paid the least attention to was my own health and wellness journey. Because when you've got only so many hours in the day, what you end up doing is sacrificing things. And at that point in my life, I was really sacrificing the time I needed to help myself be the best person I could, whether it was fitness and activity or meditation and good nutrition. So these worlds came together for me when I started to talk to the folks at IIN and learn about the school and learn about the mission. And it felt like a natural intersection where I could take the general management experience and the work I'd been doing in running large education companies and marry that really in a way I hadn't been able to do personally, where I could live my best self at work all the time. So that's kind of what led me here, and I fell in love with the people and the school.
I love it. Now, you mentioned that you were part of creating some innovative stuff in the K through 12 space. Is there a particular aspect of the K through 12 program that you helped innovate that you're really proud of?
Yeah, there's one. Well, there's a couple of examples. I mean, I was really fortunate to be given a space in large corporations where I could do a lot of R&D and a lot of disruptive stuff to help us reimagine online learning and education. And one area I'm most proud of was at my uh, at K-12 Inc., which was an online learning. It's the largest online learning school. One of the things I did there was launch a new category for them around career destinations. And a lot of the students going through that curriculum really, it was their last chance. They were struggling for kind of what they were doing next, and maybe a 2 or 4 year college wasn't the right path for them. They were looking for an alternate path. And so we looked at where the jobs were going to be in the next 10 years, and we put together a series of curriculum with partners to help people get their high school diploma online while they were getting certified in key areas and help them get career advancement and opportunities. And so that was a brand new school that was launched for them, and that was fulfilling and mission driven and doing good and having fun.
Oh my gosh. How many people would you say went through that program? Just thinking of the thousands of people, the lives that the ripple effect that you had that idea and you ran with it with your team. And now because of that, thousands of people have, their career path and they're supporting their families and feel like proud of themselves, like they belong in society.
It was a fun one, and it was one of those that everybody was, who could say no to helping kids be successful and getting a career path. So I don't know the actual numbers. I do know when I left, it was the fastest growing part of the company, and we had a lot of success there and longevity. So really, for me though, to your point, the ripple impact is really what's driven me. I have been lucky enough to be successful, and I really attribute my success because I love what I do every day, and I feel like I'm making a difference in people's lives. And I think that's when success comes, when you're passionate about something. And as you know, the days are long, and to be able to make a difference and to take that ripple and kind of pay it forward is awesome, which is what I think IAN does.
I love it. So what inspired you to be the CEO of IIN? Did someone reach out to you or did you reach out to them?
Yes, no, they reached out to me, and I started some conversations. And I can tell you the moment when I knew in my heart of hearts that I wanted this role was I spent a day with the IIN team. And if any of you get a chance, which we would love to have you come visit us at our offices in New York City, our school, and you'll get a chance to meet the incredible team. You walk into the office and you can feel the mission. There's bowls of avocados, there's fruit, there's a vitamin bar, there's yoga instruction on Thursday night, there's a chiropractor, there's a massage therapist. We live our mission every day, and the people here are really passionate about what we do. We have over 78% of our staff are female, and they are mostly all trained health coaches. So they are graduates of the program, and so they know firsthand kind of what's important to our students and help make our curriculum and our teaching better every day as a result of it.
I got to interview Joshua Rosenthal, the creator of IIN, the founder, at episode 106.
Hmm.
And he talked about the corporate culture that he had created, that he wanted a culture where where people really did put their health first and put the company second, and that their health, obviously everyone's health is first, and then the mission of helping the students is a close second, obviously, but we have to take care of ourselves, and we have to walk the walk and talk the talk. And I thought that was so brilliant. And then I interviewed one of your staff members, and she, sure enough, said that it's absolutely amazing, that really does. It's a culture that supports each other and each other's health. And I thought that is so brilliant. That what if every business did this? Now I know that Microsoft did a test in Japan, in their Japan office, where they introduced a 4-day work week, and they saw productivity go up. I think it was like over 60%.
Uh-huh.
And every corporation needs to look at IIN and see what they're doing, and look at what Microsoft just did in Japan, and see that by shifting the focus from, like, let's say Amazon works their workers to the bone, and it's cutthroat and a really dangerous work environment to be in long term. Shift from that to the more nurturing, making sure we have work-life balance. We see that productivity goes up and that longevity goes up, and then the company flourishes long term, which is what is happening with IIN. So you walked into the space for that day, and you just were pinching yourself, thinking that this is so different from any other corporation you have ever witnessed.
Yeah, I did. And for me, that was a personal shift I needed to make. I'd been in corporate America, for, gosh, over 25 years. And my typical lens, as a general manager and kind of former head of these divisions, was figuring out, how do you take the costs out, and does this make sense, and are we operating as efficiently, and kind of the hard look at business. And so when I walked in here, what went through my mind was like, gosh, those avocados must cost a fortune. And I'm trying. But as I got to spend time with everyone around the organization and realize that they really are living their true best self here. And as a result of it, yes, we have incredible creativity and innovation and productivity. Figuring out how you merge your personal best with your professional. I hadn't seen it in action like this before. So the avocados are staying for sure.
Now, since becoming the CEO this year, which is back in March, so you're coming up on a year in a few months, and you obviously took a moment to step into the role and get the landscape. But what have you changed? What have you personally brought in that has been innovative since you stepped in as CEO?
Yeah, so the school is incredible, and I can't say enough great things about Joshua and his vision, from how he developed and thought about the curriculum to the teams that he hired. Really, I was brought in to help build upon that solid foundation and how to take the organization from good to great, and trying to think through what that can look like, and how we can start to take the footprint that's here and really make a bigger impact around the world. And so, we are known as the OG is what the team calls it, of health and wellness and health coaching. And, he kind of coined and created the category. So everything we do is about servicing the category and continuing to build the health coach industry so we can have a ripple impact around the world. But the work I've been doing, over the past few months is starting to transition the organization from the school that we are today and help with some professional development and training of the teams. We've brought in a new head of sales and marketing. We've brought in a new chief financial officer. So we've kept a nice blend of the old and new guard to help us think through how we can start to build and enter adjacent markets. We've kicked off a new business plan, and we'll be launching a new product line in April, because we see how impactful our health coach training program has been in making difference in people's lives, and we want to create versions of that then can enter, for example, corporate wellness and help make aspects of the content much more accessible for folks and give them a taste of smaller short form courses. So the first courses will launch in April around that, which we're super excited about. So that's some of the things we've done. We've kind of infused new talent. We've invested in our existing teams, and we've started to think about some of the new markets we're going to be entering.
Very cool. Now, when I had Joshua on the show, episode 106, he said that IAN was hiring lobbyists to advocate and educate politicians in DC on the benefits of health coaching and certified health coaches, so that we can carve a space out and protect our rights to be health coaches, but also make sure that there is a space moving forward for certified health coaches. And then just this year, IAN announced that there was some movement in legislature. Can you share more details on that?
Yeah, I'm happy to. So we are the only health coach school really that has a full-time lobbyist in DC, and I had the good fortune of going down and stumping on DC with him about a month or two ago, and kind of meeting with different senators and legislators to talk about the category of health coaching. So part of what we're doing is bringing awareness, helping people understand exactly what a health coach is, how we can impact people's lives, and how we can work side by side, with hospitals and insurance companies to help be the coach that, based on, help reverse chronic disease and looking at ways we can help implement new practices and support for people. The change that you're mentioning is around, it's called CPT 111 codes, and that the consortium in particular was instrumental in really getting that work off the ground. But really what that does is it's a positive signal for the market, because it helps us get recognized potentially for some insurance payees and different reimbursements in that area. And so we have right now what's a category 3, and then that enables us to collect data around the work that we're all doing in the industry, which will hopefully result in category 1, which is what we're striving for in that space.
So does that mean that a health coach soon will be able to work with insurance companies
for reimbursement?
For
we're
reimbursement?
hoping, yes, exactly.
Very cool. Now, I know that, and I see it everywhere, which is so neat. I did not see it everywhere 10 years ago, but now I see health coaches at the doctor's office and even in the hospitals. My health insurance offers health coaches, health coach service, because now health insurance companies see that they're going to save money if they get their customers using a health coach, because then it's preventive medicine in a sense. People are cleaning up their diets, being motivated around their health, and they're less likely to get sick. So the insurance companies are investing in hiring health coaches. So I'm seeing this space just open and open and open, where there's so many job opportunities. I know that IAN also teaches people how to be independent health coaches. Can you speak to, because I think some people, they're interested in being a health coach, but they're not interested in being an entrepreneur. Can you speak to that for those who maybe have been hesitant to jump into the health coaching space because they don't feel like they could be an entrepreneur?
Yeah, happy to. So maybe just by way of context, your observations are spot on. I couldn't decide if it was just because I'm living and breathing this every day, and now enrolled as a student, that I'm seeing health coaches everywhere. But when you look at the data, the health coach market is estimated that it's going to reach 7.9 billion by 2022. So we are seeing incredible acceptance and growth, and I feel like we are just at this pivotal moment where it's going to become ubiquitous in terms of health coaching and how we can help provide health coaches. And our students who go through the program, as you know, we graduate close to 10,000 students each year, and about 50%, and the data has been remarkably consistent, but about 50% of our students are going through the curriculum for personal transformation. Maybe they have a something they're trying to solve in their lives. Maybe they just want to get themselves better. Maybe they're stuck and they want to get unstuck. But about 50% are going through it for their own personal journey and personal transformation and betterment. The other 50% are going through it. Maybe they are a yoga instructor, a fitness instructor, a chiropractor, and they want to get additional certification, or they want to pursue a career in health coaching. And those 50%, may be in doctor's office, they may be insurance companies, WebMD's hiring health coaches, hospitals all over the world are hiring health coaches. So our students who come out the other side are what we're trying to do is we look at the curriculum is look at ways we can support them on their journey with different options at the end of graduation. So one of the things you'll hear from us early in 2020, I can't quite announce it yet, but we are keenly focused on how do we help our health coach who maybe absolutely loves what they're doing. Some of our students are incredibly entrepreneurial, but some of them really don't want to spend their time kind of doing all the business administrative stuff. So what we are working on is a solution that we can help them just push play, and it would be a way for them to get their business going off much more quickly.
Oh
In the
my
curriculum, we have
gosh.
ways that you can help with, we can get your social page going. We can help you get your web page going. We can help you if you want to write a book and kind of launch your dream book. But this will be much more kind of supportive, very specific to the health coach graduates who want to start their own business.
That sounds really exciting. That sounds like another Lynda Cloud innovative thing since you
Well,
have
it is certainly a team innovative thing.
well, but you're you're the head, right? So just looking back at the ways that you carved out a whole new space for the K through 12 online platform and helped those students who were they didn't have a place. They didn't feel like they belonged or had a place. And that's sort of the same right now. You're doing the same for these health coaches or people that want to be a health coach, but they don't have the entrepreneurial skill or they don't have the time, energy, or the entrepreneurial skill to break out on their own, but they are amazing at health coaching. We
That's
kind of,
right. Yeah.
we're expected nowadays to be a jack of all trades or the Jane of all trades. We're expected to be a great mom and a great career woman or a great stay-at-home mom or a great homeschooler, whatever we're doing, basically working, 15-hour days. And then on top of that, have this, know everything we should know about internet marketing so that we can have a successful health coaching practice. And it's like,
Right.
what do I would really want to see someone who's an amazing health coach, and I don't need them to be a great marketer, but how am I going to reach them? Or how are they going to reach me? So I love that IAN is creating a way for these amazing health coaches to be able to get connected with the people that are looking for amazing health coaches.
Yeah, it's interesting. And I think our students and people in the health and wellness field in particular, we're passionate people. We really are doing this because we want the world to be a better place. And oftentimes it's hard for people to put a price tag on that. So, one of the first notes I got when I started here via LinkedIn was from one of our students saying, "Oh, welcome. What do you think I should charge for my health coaching session?" I was like, "Oh, geez," because we just don't know how to put a price tag and kind of contemplate the business aspects of running a business, which is so important. So this, I think what we're working on people will be super excited about, and it'll just help make their lives easier. They still have the opportunity to personalize it as much as they want or invest the time if that's where they want to choose it. But if as you say, that we want a really good health coach who's spending their time kind of coaching and advising and partnering and they want their tools and the resources, they can get them.
That is such a common question. Back when I was 19, I went through college to become a massage therapist. In Canada, it's a bigger course. It's like a 3,000-hour course. And we study alongside nurses when we take the anatomy classes in college.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of the biggest questions was, well, what do we charge? Right? What do we charge for a service? And I've seen that again in the NLP space. I was a master practitioner and trainer and worked with an international training company teaching people how to become NLP practitioners. And all the NLP practitioners didn't know what to charge. And that was that big question. You charge too little, people don't value what you do. You charge too much, people think you're unobtainable. So you want that sweet spot. And basically you want a price that honors the client.
Right.
And what I love about health coaching is it is affordable. It's accessible and affordable, for people to go through your program, but for clients to also hire health coaches. So I like that it creates, because you can do group coaching where it's something, some coaches charge like $20 or $40 a month and they get a whole group together. And by the end of it, the group learns even more from each other than they did from the coach, but the coach was the facilitator. So there's so many opportunities for people who are even, they can't necessarily afford to go see all these holistic experts, but they can definitely afford health coaching, because health coaching helps them to identify the actionable steps they can take to bring their life back into balance. Now, you started being a student at IIN. How far along are you in the program?
Oh, I am in early days. So I think I'm in fifth module. So I started working with the education team on the curriculum. We're starting to look at refresh of the curriculum, and I thought I have to start taking this because this is just so compelling. So I'm loving it. I'm doing it at night. I'm having fun with it. My family, I think, is feeling the impacts of it already.
Now, even before Module 5, when you first join IIN, there's a foundations. They give you, the second you join, even let's say your class hasn't started yet, because there's an official launch, the whole cohort of students go through it together. Even though it's online, you feel like you have this community. And I love that, because I connected with people around the world, all the students that were in it at the same time as I was, participated in discussions throughout the whole year together online. Before your official start date, when you join, so you can join at any time, you are given the fundamentals modules.
That's right.
And you have to have Kleenex with you, because I bawled. I was crying tears of inspiration the entire time. I was like, I am meant to be here. It felt like
You'd found your people. Yeah.
yes, yeah, and I felt like I wasn't the black sheep anymore. I mean, I was
Uh-huh.
just crying and crying. It was so good. It was so cathartic. So I felt like my favorite part of the entire year was the foundation. So don't change that. don't just add to it, but don't change it. It was so good. It was so good. So
Yeah,
when you
we won't.
watched the fundamentals, the foundation modules, what were you thinking as you were going through it?
So for me, I there were a couple of things that happened, and I'm a little bit, I feel like I've cheated a little bit because of my role. I've had the opportunity to go to one of our live events that we had a couple months ago that was incredible, which I'll talk about, which felt just, I mean, for me, that was cathartic. But um, what, it all made sense to me, and there's a ton of, I don't know, common sense, but then there's this shift that transpired where what you all of a sudden thought was primary food is not primary food anymore. And once you kind of start to make that shift and you think about the idea of what's feeding your soul versus feeding your body, and understanding all those aspects, that to me was really substantial in how I thought about all aspects of my life. And then it was great to get to know Joshua, which you do, I mean, as you just feel like you're he's brought you into, his world, and as well as all the other visiting teachers that are incredible. So it's been great. It's been really helpful for me, just in my own personal life, but also professionally.
So tell us about the live event, because it sounds like you enjoyed that even more than taking the online training.
Well, it's each student, as you know, who goes through our program has the opportunity to participate in a live event. And so it's an event we hold one big event, and that's another area we're actually looking at for next year is diversifying that and holding many more live events so we can give people the opportunity and students the opportunity to come together. But the live event um, that I attended was at the Jazz Center in Lincoln Center, and it was it was a combination of incredible speakers, incredible community. We were dancing, we were swaying, we were crying. It was like a revival meeting where you've come together and you've kind of found your people, and people were just excited to be with other students. We had about 25% of the people there who came from outside of the U.S., which was
Wow.
marries the number of students we have in our curriculum who participate, from outside the U.S. So it was wonderful. It was just a good combination of wonderful speakers and community and people coming together.
That's really cool. What speaker was your favorite?
There are two popped in. Well, Dr. Weil was there, and he was, I just adore him. Andrew Weil, I think, is just brilliant, and he's fantastic. Terry Walls talked about her protocol, and I had a chance to visit with her and her daughter, and she's just an inspiration. And then, from the business side, there was a woman there, Megan McCarthy, who is she is a hospital administrator from a hospital in the Pacific Northwest that we do a lot of work with. She's kind of our first corporate client, if you will. And Megan is an inspiration because she is breaking down those walls and saying, I believe that health coaches can save the world, and I believe that everybody needs to be a health coach. And so what Megan is doing is putting folks in the hospital through the health coach program, and then doing a train the trainer model within her hospital community. So she's breaking it. She's killing it. She's just doing great work.
Wow. Can you share which hospital it is?
Peace Health.
Okay.
Peace Health.
I live in the Pacific Northwest. I've never heard of it, but I
Okay.
bet I will be hearing about it. It sounds amazing.
You will, yeah, and we're actually doing some outreach. So she's a force, and she's just great to work with. And so we're doing some additional work with her, going out into communities and helping train the trainer within the communities, and some of the work she's doing with Meals on Wheels and other programs, YMCA, etc.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I love it. So since you joined IIN as their CEO, and obviously you've been learning, you've immersed into the corporate culture of IIN, you have gone to the live event, you've rubbed elbows with Joshua Rosenthal, which you spend any amount of time with him, and he is teaching you how to balance your life in a way that brings you joy. So you have started to really absorb all of the education that IIN teaches. What changes have you made to your personal life since joining IIN?
So my whole world changed when I joined IIN, and I'll tell you about it personally, and then kind of how IIN helped me get through the change. I was living up in a town called Newton, Massachusetts, right outside of Boston, before taking the role at IIN. And so I moved to New York City for the first time in my life. I'm living in New York City. And so that was a huge change. And then on top of that, my youngest left for college. So we were instant empty nesters. So you couldn't have changed one more thing in our world if you wanted to. And so when you move to this, my first, foray into New York City, that's a big change. And so what I found, though, is I'm eating a lot healthier. We have organic breakfast and lunches, so I eat clean every day, and that has helped for sure with my energy and my stamina and kind of my overall health. But I am meditating more because New York can eat you up. I mean, it can be a really frenetic, hectic place, and overwhelming from a sensory perspective. So IIN's kind of philosophy and methodology has helped me, I think, transition into the city in ways that I can kind of focus on self-care in New York City, which is not an easy thing to do. But it's helped me kind of think about ways to optimize my nutrition and my fitness and my wealth in a city environment.
Very cool. So, as you've been going through, as you've been going through the course, I know you're only 5 modules in. That's still a lot. There's still a lot of content there. What homework have you implemented in your life from the course?
I have taken the this spirit of bio individuality, and I've taken that kind of from theory to practice. So for those of you who haven't been, through the course, when you start to think about bio individuality and kind of the term, it's really that, we're all unique, and recognizing and honoring our uniqueness is going to be really key to your health and happiness. And so, what you need at each point in time in your life may change, and it's very personal to you. And so one of the things I've done in terms of theory to practice is taken that and applied that to a very diverse family that I have. I've got a vegetarian son and a husband who really loves, meat, and trying to figure out, how do I introduce individualized meals and nutrition for them in ways that are gonna make them the best they can be, and enjoy what they're doing, and knowing that what's good for one person isn't necessarily always good for the other person. So it's really shifted my mindset, I would say.
Instead of trying to get your son to eat meat and your husband to eat vegetables?
Exactly, which was not successful. Or trying to find the one meal, that would satisfy everybody.
Right.
So yeah, that's been great. We've also been we've been busy looking at kind of what the next year is going to bring, for IIN, and that's been super fun. We've got a team of really talented people. There's no shortage of ideas on where we can take the company, but we think there's some really great stuff we're doing in terms of working more closely with our affiliates and our ambassadors and our visiting teachers. So that's been cool.
I love it. I love it. So you've been around it enough now to have heard some success stories, both from the standpoint of the students and the staff and also clients. Can you share some really inspiring success stories that stand out in your mind?
Yeah, I think I'll share a story of a woman I met at the conference. She was just absolutely fantastic. She had just finished the program, and she was sharing with me that she had her son who had diabetes and was just really struggling with kind of how to help him. And she was, as she was telling me the story, just, welling up on just how this gave her clarity in ways that things hadn't been able to give her family clarity before, and that she was able to take the philosophy of figuring out exactly what was right for him and helping him become healthier and, the success he had. So that when you hear those kind of nuggets and you hear those kind of stories, whether it's health related or it's just people feeling stronger, or people feeling like they're in a place that they didn't realize they could get to, and how the curriculum and the community, which I would say is the most unsung hero around IIN, is just how strong of a force the community is. Whether you're posting something or sharing something or you're seeing someone in person, when that community comes together, you feel, as you were describing, like you found your tribe, you found your people who are all of a sudden understand what you need, and they're nothing but supportive. They are just like the most supportive and happy people to kind of help you in your journey. So, that's kind of been the theme of most of the stories and most of the impact. And that's the vision, is to create this ripple around the world and pay it forward. And so that's our goal.
Back in the day, Joshua used to call this something else. It wasn't health coaching. It was health counseling. Was it counseling? But then the word counseling wasn't clear enough, and I don't think it was legal to be called a counselor because that's more for therapy. But what I thought was interesting is I signed up with IIN to become a health coach, not knowing how much emotional support you learn how to provide.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought I was going in, because you learn in IIN, in the year-long course, you learn 100 dietary theories. And I thought I was going in to learn,
Nutrition. Yeah.
nutrition
Right.
and how much vitamin C is in something, which, I mean, you don't really need to know. You don't need to memorize how much vitamin C is in stuff. You can just Google it. It's not, but you actually learn skills in IIN on how to be with someone and hold the space for them to feel heard. Sometimes for the first time in their life, in a way that is not biased or doesn't have an agenda. Because when we go to our best friends, or we go to our mom, or we go to people in our life
Yeah.
that are in our life, they have an agenda. Like, I remember going and telling my best friend I was moving. I was moving to a different country. I'm from Canada. And she was really upset because she didn't want me to move, right? But that was my path, and I needed to, and so I wasn't going to get a positive space. She wasn't going to create a positive space for me. She had to process her own emotions about me moving. So when
Right.
we go to a friend or a family member to talk about what's happening in our life that has us stop us from achieving our health goals, their emotions come up. They can't be a blank, supportive space. And sometimes there's even self-sabotage, and I've seen it in my family. I have a family member that says to another family member, "When are you going to lose weight?" and then offers them a cookie. I mean, it's just
Right.
over and over again.
Right.
There's this level of sabotage that's going on because we love our friends and family. They have their own agenda, and maybe it's unconscious. So going to a health coach, you have someone who listens to you, who just sits with you and listens to you and helps to decipher what your goals are, what your true desires are, and then holds that space for you to achieve it and helps you to uncover what's stopping you, and then helps you create an action plan towards it. I've had some amazing times with my clients as a health coach that I kind of pinch myself, and Joshua says this happens, where you as a health coach get as much growth out of health coaching as your client does. So every time my client had a success, I felt like I had a success because I learned so much about myself and also my ability to hold a space for someone as
Right.
they grew. So it's this career that is constantly evolving you as a person and allowing you to feel human connection and love and care for someone, in a way that is not codependent, in a way that is uplifting them, and letting them do the work, but holding them accountable. So it's a beautiful dance, and I love, because anyone can Google, the nutrition or the calories in something. That doesn't teach us how to help someone be the best version of themselves. IIN doesn't teach us stuff that we can go and just Google. It's teaching us skills that we can to really help someone achieve the not only the physical health, but the emotional health, and help them achieve their life goals. I had clients who we ended up talking about their relationships
Mm-hmm.
and their career, and so things would come up and they want to change. One of them was an entrepreneur and she wanted to change something in her business. So, but by changing something in her business, it actually affected her health because it lowered her stress. So I like that IIN doesn't just say, okay, we're only talking about physical health. IIN is like, we're talking about your client's entire life.
Yeah, and every aspect of it, you're absolutely right. And I love the way when you were describing it, I pictured this swirl, I pictured this kind of this symbiotic, imagery that what you're doing on this side has a direct correlation on this side and this side and this side. And so, as you talk to a health coach, it's deconstructing and building up and understanding, and as you say, create this space, but also these goals, and creating this journey and creating this champion that doesn't have an agenda, right? There's just somebody you've got in your camp that is helping you be the best person you can be based on what you want and what you want to do. And that's such a gift, because I agree with you. Everyone, whether it's friends or families, it's really hard to be that complete, objective, impartial cheerleader for any of us. I know I try, and I'm not always successful with my kids, although I hope I'm getting better. But yeah, no, it's a really, really special space, and we're starting to look at some research behind the power of that in kind of the wellness journey. So the hospital I mentioned earlier, for example, is starting to do some work on. We want this to be a third-party study of folks who have inserted health coaches into their wellness journey, and how that has accelerated and impact kind of what they're trying to do, both from an emotional and a physical perspective.
Wow. Are there any results back from that study
Not yet. Nope, just kicked off.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Oh, that's going to be so cool to hear about that. I love that you're doing third party, and you're just, because, you want to get the truth.
We want to be objective. Exactly.
Yes. Yeah. Now, you mentioned the term primary food, and for those who have not been immersed in the culture of IIN, may not have heard the term primary food. Can you teach us what primary food is?
Yeah. So what I thought primary food was before I started IIN was probably what most of you think primary food is, which is the food you eat. But actually, when you go through the curriculum, what you learn is primary food is what feeds us, but it's not necessarily what comes on a plate. It comes in a bunch of different categories. It could be your relationship with health. It could be your physical activity. It could be your career. It could be spiritual. It could be financial. But it's all those things around you that impact who you are. And so you need to think about how you balance or what imbalances you have to help get balance in your primary food, and as opposed to secondary food, which is, the things that we eat, and we start to think about food and food as medicine, and how that can help feed our soul, but also give us balance in our primary food. So, it's very spiraled in terms of how you think about it. It's all interrelated, but that's generally what primary food means.
Right, and it's one of the first things that when someone goes to an IIN health coach, that they're given this little one-page quiz that helps them to determine the balance and actually see on this graph the balance of their life. So how much joy and fulfillment they have in spiritual fulfillment, emotional fulfillment, connection and fulfillment within their relationships, within their career. And so they get to see that the areas that are missing. And I'll give a great example that I just witnessed in myself. I'm looking back at the person I was before IIN. I've been on a health journey for many years. In my 20s, I was very, very, very sick. I had type 2 diabetes, chronic adrenal fatigue, chronic infections, for which I was on monthly antibiotics for. I'd wake up every morning feeling like I was hungover, with a splitting headache, feeling like I drank alcohol, but I hadn't. I was just sick all the time. And in my 20s, when you're supposed to feel like the healthiest. And I was so sick of being sick. I was also told I was infertile and I'd never have kids. And I had polycystic ovarian syndrome. So basically every day was like I was a prisoner trapped in my own body. And so I started to look outside the doctor's office for what I could do for my health, because being given drugs every month was just keeping the infections at bay. It wasn't helping
the root cause. Yeah.
Right. And I was a really busy sales manager for an international training company. I lived in Las Vegas, which is, can sometimes not be a very healthy environment. You're never, most of the time we're always indoors and air conditioning, and it's a very interesting place to live. Let's just put it that way. And so my husband and I started watching documentaries. Netflix had just started streaming documentaries. That was a new thing for Netflix back in like 2008. Some health documentaries said, eat organic and shop the perimeter of the grocery store. And within 1 month, my chronic infections went away, just eating organic and not eating as much processed foods. And I thought, if I can change my health in 1 month, what else can I do? And that's what led me down my journey to reverse all of my health conditions. We conceived our child naturally, and we're just getting healthier and healthier. I'm still on my health journey. Mm-hmm. And what I noticed that before I joined IIN to become a health coach, I'd already started the podcast. I actually interviewed one of your graduates, and I asked him during the interview, how did you become a health coach? Because that was my first time interviewing a health coach. And I almost didn't interview him because I thought it was so cliche. I thought this sounds like a BS certification.
Yeah, right.
And I almost didn't give him the time of day. But something in me, and I love that, listen to your gut. Something in me said, listen to him. And it was a beautiful interview. He had ADD and was put on meds his entire childhood, and he had side effects from it. And so he decided to take control of his health. And he completely reversed his ADD using diet and healed his body. And then he went on to become a health coach. And now that's what he does for others. So he told me, in the interview, he told me all about IIN. I immediately got off Skype from our interview. I called up IIN and I signed up that day.
Oh my gosh.
I was so inspired. Of course, I turned to my husband. I said, is this okay? He goes, go for it. Go for it. This is great. You should totally do this. And I talked to Juliet, by the way. Juliet is amazing.
She's downstairs right now.
Yep.
She's a rock star. Yeah.
Yep. I think she's been there forever. So Juliet's fantastic. And then I called up my best friend and told her about it. And then she signed up. And so we did it together, which I highly recommend. It was great. And she's in Canada and I'm here in the States. So, being long distance and doing this course together was so wonderful. But so that was back in 2016. So I graduated in 2017. So the person I was before IIN, even though I was eating really healthy, I'd reversed all those health conditions, and I'm doing this podcast. I'm totally on board with holistic health. That person I was would not have said no to the free chocolate samples at Costco. That person, every time there, and we go to Costco twice a week at least, because I buy a lot of our organic stuff. We have a great Costco that's filled with organic produce. So the cart just gets filled up with organic, fresh fruits and vegetables every time we go. And I will go back again and again for the free chocolate samples, because they'll give out as many, the Lindor chocolates, the really, decadent ones. And I will just kind of circle the Costco and go back again and again and again and get as much free chocolate samples as they'll give, which they'll give infinite amount of free chocolate samples. But every year I would absolutely do that. And then I just wouldn't feel my best for a few days. I'm allergic to milk. So I would just, my immune system would be upset. My digestive system would be upset. I would be inflamed. I'd have brain fog. When you're really, really healthy and clean, if you eat something your body doesn't like that causes inflammation, you really notice it.
Yes.
But when you eat it all the time and you're habituated, you don't notice it as much. So even though I was on this great path, I would still give into chocolate. And then when I went through IIN, I started to look at my primary foods, meaning the food in life that brings me joy and happiness and fulfillment and balance. So the food being connection with my husband, connection with my child, feeling like I'm making a difference in this world. And now, fast forward to now, I walked through Costco twice this week and didn't even give them the time of day, didn't touch any of the chocolate, and didn't feel deprived about it. I actually felt really, really happy, because in the past I recognized that I was using chocolate, even if it was free samples, I was using chocolate to try to give myself joy and fulfillment, because I was missing, my primary foods were out of balance. And now, and just yesterday, I got a package in the mail that had a bunch of Hershey's Kisses in it from a friend of mine, who I guess thinks that it's just people send chocolate, and it's this time of year that they send chocolate. And I love that person. I'm grateful, and I threw out the chocolate. I have no need for that in my body. But I didn't feel deprived, and I don't have a ton of self-control. It's not like I'm one of those people that, it has a ton of self-control. I didn't need it. It doesn't fulfill that. I'm not using chocolate to self-medicate because my primary foods are out of balance. My primary foods are in balance. I'm deeply connected with my husband and my son. I feel fulfilled in my career. I've gone through and done the work. in the primary foods. And I recognize that my food addictive behaviors have subsided because I have done the work that I learned through IIN.
Yeah, yeah. Your story is awesome, and it is inspirational, and it's also very familiar. When you talk to a lot of before and after IIN, it's very similar that you don't realize what was missing or what was out of alignment or what part of your world, your primary foods weren't in sync. But once you actually make that shift or work on making that shift, because the way you described it is exactly right. Just identifying that, do I have the strongest, healthiest relationship I should? Do I have the most fulfilling career? Do I have, am I in the right place for me spiritually? Am I getting the right amount of physical activity? Once you actually start paying attention to those aspects and then doing the work in those things that you know are going to help you create that balance, you have this kind of aha moment, and you say, and the way you described it was your Lynda chocolate. You didn't actually think about that anymore. And that used to be probably the first thing you thought about when you got in the car on your way to Costco. I know it probably would have been mine too, but now you're going, your mission is different. Your priorities are different. So anyway, I love your story. I love your journey. It's exactly what we want to hear from our grads.
Thank you. Well, and thank you for the work you're doing. I'm really excited for all the innovative stuff you're going to be doing with you and your team at IIN. Um, is there anything that you want to teach today or homework you want to give, or is there anything that you really wanted to make sure that the listener walks away with?
Well, I think what I would say, as we head into, I'd say two things. One is I'll just say some tips maybe as people are headed into the holiday season, which can, as you described, the baskets of chocolates, the baskets of cookies, the, getting off your rhythm or your routine. It happens. And so I would just caution people to embrace what they're about to embark on, enjoy their family, enjoy their friends. Don't beat yourself up over if you grab the Lynda chocolates a couple times this month. It's going to happen. Or if you feel like you need to, just remember that everything you're doing is good for you and who you are, and stay true to your mission, your vision, and what you want to be and where you want your life to take you. Because we all, I think, it's not about being our best self every single day. It's just knowing what you want to do and how you want to get there. So, for me, I go into this season, and this will be an interesting one. I can tell you for the last 3 years, I have ended up with an incredible sickness that started the first week of December. Literally, I had been in an urgent care or hospital every December for the past 3 years because of the stress of the holidays. It would often be, end of year budget. It would, I would have blisters in my throat. I would end up with a respiratory something. I'd have all sorts of illnesses. And going into this December, I feel so different. One is because
Wow.
I've got alignment around, not that I haven't loved my career, but I feel like my career and my personal goals are so aligned for the first time in my life. I am paying attention to what my body is feeling. So I'm drinking more green tea, so I can help with some of the inflammation. I'm eating more mushrooms because I know they're going to help, me in terms of detoxing and looking at things that are going to be stressful for my body. So, I'm going into the season, not that I'm going to live a completely different life, but I'm paying attention to my gut and my body and what my body has been telling me for years that I never ever listened to. So that's my advice: is people should just go into the holiday season listening to their body, listen to what they need to be successful and happy, and have a fulfilling holiday season. So that's some advice, and then I'd close with keep your eye out for what we're going to be you'll be hearing from us over the next year. I think we're doing some super exciting stuff to help based on what we've heard from our students, and based on how we think we can make a difference in lives around the world. So we're launching, a Detox Your Life, healing with alternative medicine, stress management, different types of specialty courses that we think will be really interesting for folks to get a taste of IIN curriculum in ways that's new and different. And also our business toolkit, which you'll hear more about, as I promised, early next year.
Very cool. Awesome. Well, listeners can go to learntruehealth.com/coach to sign up to get a free module to see, just to get a taste of it and see if it's right for them, and learn more about IIN. So it's learntruehealth.com/coach. They can also just call up IIN. I know that listeners get a really special deal for saying that they heard the Learn True Health podcast with Ashley James when they call IIN. And I know that there's a new payment, lower payment plan for those who would, instead of paying the price in one payment, would rather pay it off monthly. What Juliet told me when I first signed up, she said, and I joined and did the payment plan, and she said to me, if you do the 12-month course, because now you can actually become a full-time student, do it in 6, but my understanding is that most people, because we have full-time lives.
That's right. Yeah. It's designed for most people who have, a full day, and then, kind of want to do it on top of that. Yeah.
Right. So for me, I had my son, who was a young toddler at the time, or just entering toddlerhood. And then I also had the podcast. So I was very busy, and I still managed to do it. I would, log in the evenings, do 20 minutes a day, or oftentimes listen to the videos while I was commuting, while I was at the gym, while I was doing laundry. Like I could listen and commute a lot. I just pretty much anytime we were commuting, we were listening. And that was cool because I was getting my husband to listen too. And he enjoyed it. And he actually went vegan, went completely whole food, plant-based and he went from a carnivore so maybe play the videos while your husband's listening.
I have been, yes.
I'm not saying that everyone should go vegan or everyone should go one diet. I don't believe in any one diet dogma. My husband listened to his body after listening to enough, just sort of being the fly on the wall while I was taking IIN. He listened to enough lectures, and he was also listening to my interviews, and he was just taking in all this information and listening to his body, and he really wasn't happy with the direction his health was going. And he just cold turkey said, I'm never eating meat again. And so he just eats, 1 to 2 pounds of vegetables a day and potatoes and brown rice. And he just says, I'm never going back. I can't believe food tastes this good. If you told me that the whole food plant-based tasted this good, I would have stopped eating meat long ago. And that's just a 180, because my husband, when I met him, was would never, ever, ever touch a vegetable, pretty much just ate steak, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, or eggs and steak, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So it's just very interesting that he started listening to his body. So really, these videos do have an impact on the people who absorb them. And so I found it that I could either listen to it, little bits of it throughout the week, or sometimes if I got really busy, I would then choose to spend a Sunday afternoon catching up for all the work that week. And I found it to be easy to go through the entire year. But what Juliet said when she first enrolled me into the program, she said that after the first 6 months, you start to take on clients. And some students get to the point where they actually pay off the entire course before they've completed the course, because they've taken on some clients while they're still in the course. Because the first 6 months gives you the foundation. The next 6 months, you continue your training, but you also learn how to work with clients as you're working with clients, which I just
That's right.
find
You're moving
brilliant.
From theory to practice. Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I love that you guys don't just okay, here's all the information, now you're on your own. It's really you feel supported for those 6 months while you're working with clients. It's really a wonderful system, and that people can immediately start to, after 6 months, can start to basically pay off the course So really it's accessible to everyone, and I love that. Any advice around those who want or are interested or have more questions or want to sign up, or any sort of just want to make sure that potential students know some information?
Yeah. So, I'll just give you a quick little, as you described, you can do it an accelerated program in 6 months. You can do a full year program. There are lots of promotions. So you should check in, to integrativenutrition.com. You obviously, I think if you go through Ashley, you're also going to get some additional, promotions. So just logistically, that's just good to know. I think you should also know, Juliet is a really good example. We actually just did a town hall. We celebrated her 14th year with IIN. Um, and, our coaches downstairs are health coaches who've gone through the program. So even if you're just on the fence and you're saying, I'm not sure this is right for me, can I invest this kind of time? Can I invest this kind of money? I would have the conversation, because you'll learn something about yourself in that conversation. These are not
Mm.
folks who are going to give you a hard sell, and they are going to walk you through the philosophy and what it means to be a health coach, because they're all health coaches and they've done this. And so you'll get something out of the engagement in the call. And learn a little bit about yourself. And, we would love to have everybody join one of the cohorts starting next year, where we think it's going to be a super year next year.
Awesome. Yes, 2020 sounds fantastic. Lynda, thank you so much for coming on today and sharing with us. And I would love to have you or one of your wonderful staff members come back on the show to share all the things you said are in the works, like the legislation and the new business thing that's coming out next year that's going to support health coaches to be entrepreneurs, and successfully be health coaches, and also the third party study implementing
Yep,
health
and our new
coaching.
our new events too. Yeah, we have a lot in the works, and we're
Mm.
super excited. And I would love that. And I'd love to visit in person with you. So we
Oh,
we
that'd
can.
be wonderful. Well, if you're ever in
Yeah,
Seattle, let me know. And if I'm ever in New York, I'm going to be popping by IIN.
please do, please do. Okay, happy
Fantastic.
holidays, Ashley.
Thank you. You too.